Let's start off. What is your name? What college did you graduate from, and what degree?
My name is Dylan Pescatore. I graduated from Arizona State University with two degrees, one bachelor's degree in 2024 for sports journalism, and then a master's degree in 2025 with a mass communication degree.
It's amazing. So, where do you work now?
Currently, I work for the Texas Stars, the American Hockey League affiliate of the Dallas Stars. I'm located in Austin, Texas. We play our games in Cedar Park, Texas, about 20 minutes north of Austin. And that's where I work, and I'm currently a broadcast and media relations assistant with the Stars.
That's great. So communications and media experience we're gonna dive into. How did you first get into sports communications and media relations, and what led you to the Texas Stars?
It's a great question. I really got into the sports world in high school when I started broadcasting at New Canaan High School with a few buddies of ours, Ian Nicholas and Austin Platt. And it really started from there. I fell in love with broadcasting, did a ton of sports, football, hockey, basketball, anything you could ever think of. Then went over to Arizona State. I knew they had a great program at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication and couldn't be more thankful for my time there. Spent 5 years there, called a ton of games from every different sport, learned a ton about communications, writing, PR, public relations, media relations, broadcasting, everything, and it was a great time. I couldn't say better things about it. And then back this past summer, the summer of 2025, I was looking to get into hockey, looking to find my footing in the world of professional hockey, and through applications and interviews and everything like that, I was very fortunate to end up with the Texas Stars, and I've had the best time with them through the first season that I've been with the Stars.
It's amazing. And through the Texas Stars, what does a typical game day look for you in this role? And from pregame prep to postgame responsibilities.
Yeah, we might need to extend this interview then. It's a long day. It's a long day. We just came off 4 home games in 6 days. A classic home game for me is I'm usually one of the first people in the building at 10 a.m. and it's printing a ton of our different stats. And these stats are for the players for both teams. These packets are dropped off in each locker room. It's also for the media that come to our games, along with scouts who come to watch the games, opposing broadcaster, everyone who could ever want to know about the Texas Stars or the opposing team that we're playing that night will get that information in those packets. And I'm responsible for our top sheet, which is our lineup sheet. Has stats for every single player, what game it is for each team, their home and road records, special teams, the referees for that night, a lot of different information. And then my big responsibility is our game notes packet, which is an 8-page document between so much stuff. Records for each team, how each team has done, how the season series has gone between each team. We have a section for leaders and points for each month. We spotlight one of our players, what happened last game, and on and on. So that's something that I do before the game or before game day to get that stuff ready. And then once that printing is done, we then print our game notes packet, which is a little foldable for all the fans. You print about 500 of them, and we fold them up, and 500 or so of our fans can pick them up when they walk through the door and learn a ton about the team. And whether they're season ticket holders and been for every game or it's their first Texas Stars game, they're going to get a good feeling of where the team is and what the team's about. So after those foldables are done, then we take a quick lunch break and then right back to it, getting credentials ready. I'm in charge of credentialing for the team along with my coworker. And we make the credentials for scouts, for media, for the opposing team, anyone who could ever need a credential. Make those, drop them off at the security little booth that they have there. Trying to think the other things that we do during the day. So much. I make graphics for the TV broadcast. So our broadcaster, my boss, John Peterson, he's a great man. Couldn't say better things about him. So he does a 15-minute pregame show for every game, and he gets on camera for home games. So I make 3 graphics for him every game. It's a player spotlight graphic, just spotlighting a player that's been playing very well. So he talks over that upcoming schedule. What are our next 4 games? and then a matchup. So it basically puts us on the right side, the opposing team on the left side, and it's record, goals per game, what have they done on the road or home, depending on where the game is, and what they did last game and where they're going next. So that's another thing that I do during the day. And then once it's 6 p.m. and for a 7 p.m. game that we usually have, it's getting up to the press box and getting ready. So I'm either doing social media for a home game or I'm doing the press release and helping out John by his little perch. But for social media, I'm running the entire team's social media during the game. So period update graphics, starting lineup graphics, in-game tweeting. So if there's a penalty, if there's a goal, anything, getting ready for that. And then on the other side, when I'm doing the game recap, I'm writing that during the game and also helping John out with his broadcast, and then getting that up on the website after the game, along with sending it out for our newsletter. And then it's pretty much going down, getting interviews between the coach and one of our players for that night, editing those interviews up for social media and YouTube. And then it's turnaround time and it's getting the game notes and stats ready for the next game.
Yeah, that's a lot, but that's great. What skills do you think are most important in this job?
Yeah, it's a good amount of skills that you need. I think the Adobe Creative Cloud cannot be understated. I use it consistently. I'm on any given game day, I'm using Premiere, I'm using InDesign. My InDesign's open every single day, and I'm using Photoshop. Those are my three main ones that I use, and I know a lot of people around me in the office are using others as well. So I'd say focus on those. Video editing with Premiere is essential. InDesign can look scary at first, but once you get going, you'll get a good feel of it. And other skills are just people skills, right? I'm at the arena on a game day from 10 a.m. to midnight or so. That's a long time. And working with anybody, whether you're close to them or just in the office with them, for that amount of time, if I'm around my sister for 14 hours, I'm getting sick of her, right? So you just have to be a good person. I think that's the main thing. You want to help people out, no matter if that's your job or not. And everyone appreciates the help, right? It's a long day. There's a lot of work to do, but we do it because we love it, and we do it because we enjoy the people that we work around. So I think the main thing is your work's important, but also if you have some free time, go help everyone out during the day. They will appreciate it in a big way.
Yeah, for sure. And let's go into professional challenges so far. Have you ever faced a challenging or sensitive situation while working in media relations?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I'd say when you pose the question, professional challenges while in media relations, I would say the main thing is that we have to protect our team and our brand, right? We're in charge of showcasing, or I'm in charge, and the other people that I work with, of showcasing the Texas Stars on social media, on our website, and everywhere around. So we have to showcase them in a good light, no matter if we lose 10-0 or we win 10-0. That doesn't matter. It's all about showcasing us in a good way, right? So, I'll give you an example. Sometimes, and this happens all the time, right? You know it, James. In the press conference, I'm sure a player can say something that maybe he regrets, right? Or he or she regrets, depending on what sport and whether you're doing men's sports or women's sports. And they're going to say, "Oh, I regret that. I don't want that to be in." I'll give you an example. So I was doing an interview for another thing I do, not on game days or feature stories. So I was interviewing one of our players the other day, and we had a good 20 to 25-minute conversation about the season, his career, his upbringing, etc. And there's some things that he said that maybe he regretted. And I told him, I said straight up, if you don't want that to be in, you let me know. So we had the interview. And then a couple hours later, he sent me a text and he said, "Hey, I said this. I don't really want this to go out." And I totally understand. Look, I'm here to showcase them and showcase the team in a positive and good light. So I think it's all about communicating with the people that you work with, and also just keeping in mind that you're looking out for the brand and the team or the organization that you're covering.
So, what advice would you like give to a young professional about maintaining credibility and professionalism?
Yeah, I think professionalism is the number one thing, right? You can look through someone who maybe not be very professional. So I think the number one thing, and it always goes back to how you look. People are gonna. It's sad, but whenever you see someone, you're gonna kind of judge them on how they dress and how they look. So I think dressing well is important. I think for credibility standards, it's all about confirming, and this goes back to my journalism days, confirming the news, right? You can't just get one source that maybe a no, maybe a don't, and reporting a story, right? We see that all the time in professional sports where they report a story and it might not be true. So it's all about confirming your sources and making sure that you trust the people when you're reporting the news, but also looking out for the people that you're reporting the news on, right? So I think that's a big part of credibility and professionalism. It's just about getting your work done in a good way. Don't take any shortcuts. Make sure you look good. Make sure you're, in a good spot, and and just treating people with respect. I think that's another important thing. A lot of people can look down upon you if you're, treating people the way that they shouldn't be treated. So it goes back to the golden rule, right? You want to be treated the way everyone else treats you, or the other way around, whatever it is, you know what I'm talking about. But you just want to treat people with respect, and I think that's a very important thing.
Yeah, I love that answer. And let's break down a specific game or like storyline feature that you had a couple months ago. So I checked out your work with the Artem Schlane
Yeah,
Texas Stars feature. Can you walk me through how you prepared for that?
absolutely, absolutely. I was very fortunate. This is my first feature that I did with the Texas Stars. It was right before the season began, I believe, and Artem Schlane and I actually had a pretty good relationship because he finished his college career at Arizona State when it was my graduate year as well. He was the one on the ice, I was the one in the press box. So he was a great guy to me through all of our interactions. And then it was just a happenstance that I was with the Texas Stars when he came to the Texas Stars. So I got to interview him, and he was a very nice guy. He had a great story. And I think the main thing, whenever you're doing feature writing or any sort of writing, got to do your research, right? If you're going into an interview saying, "Oh, where did you play college?" That's stuff that you can find online, and the player's going to be like, "Come on, man, like you can find that." You want to ask him or her questions that you can't find online, right? So I'll give you an example. Artem Schlane has an awesome story. He grew up in Russia. He moved all the way to the United States to Florida, of all places, to start to play hockey. And then he's been at so many different places. He went to high school at Shattuck St. Mary's in Minnesota. Then he started his college career back in Connecticut at UConn. Then went to Northern Michigan for 2 years, and then at Arizona State. Now he's in Texas. I mean, this guy has all the frequent flyer miles that you could have. And it's just about doing your research. So a few of the questions that I asked him, I said, what was it like moving from Russia to the United States to play hockey and have an education? His dad was still in Russia working while he was with his mom. This is stuff that you can't find online. So it's important to ask those questions that are personal, not crossing the line in any way, but getting their opinion on stuff that it's not factual. Don't ask factual questions. Ask, opinionated or emotional questions.
Yeah, so those are mainly like key storylines. Are there other storylines that you want to focus on while in these features?
Yeah, I think I actually the feature that I'm probably most proud of so far is something that came out of nowhere, right? So I talked about those game notes that I do before each game day, and it focuses on our team, but also I have a sheet that goes through that has every player on the other team's active roster and their stats. And it was December, I believe, and we were about to take on the Milwaukee Admirals, which is one of our biggest rivals. This kind of goes back to the professionalism standpoint too. So um, I was doing the lineup sheet probably 3, 4 days before the series started, so not a lot of time. And I noticed that the Milwaukee Admirals called up from their ECHL team Kalen Lind, which is the brother of our player, Cole Lind. Super cool story, right? Brother against brother. And I texted our broadcaster, John, and I said, "Hey, do you think this story would be, something that we could work on?" Now, keep in mind, like, you know, it's always about us. We want to highlight us. So sometimes it gets a little bit into a gray area when you're kind of highlighting another team a little bit with Milwaukee. Plus, they're our biggest rival. So it's a little bit of a gray area. But this goes back to the communication standpoint. I said, "Hey, I think this story is bigger than just Stars versus Admirals. I think this is a brother versus brother story. And I think it deserves to be told." And he agreed, and we had a conversation, and I got to interview Cole Lind that week, Caitlin Lind right after morning skate, and it probably turned out as my favorite story that I've released so far.
So either of those stories, would you handle it differently or improve it in any kind of way?
That's a good question. I think everyone kind of has past regrets, or you look back something, oh, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I do this? I mostly chalk it up to, I was just starting out on the job with the Artem Schlane thing. It was my first few weeks. I was like, okay, let's get into this. It's a guy that I know. It's a guy that I'm familiar with. With the Lynn story, honestly, I don't think so. I was very proud of that story. I think I handled it in the right way. And that's like I mentioned, it's a little bit of a weird situation. I mean, imagine you're working for the Yankees and there's a player on the Red Sox that has some sort of connection, right? It's a little bit, you know, it's a talking point. But I think I handled myself in the right way, and that goes back to professionalism in terms of, all right, let's communicate with people. Let's say, let's not, go out on a limb and start doing this story if it's not going to get approved and can run. So texted John, my boss, and I communicated. I said, hey, is this a story that I understand it's Milwaukee, I understand it's the rival, but I think this is a story that's bigger than hockey. And it's two brothers, and I think that's important. And he agreed, and it ran through, and it ended up doing really well. And it was actually a very quick turnaround because I interviewed Kalen, the brother, that day, and that night it ran on the broadcast. So it was a quick turnaround, but I don't really have any regrets for those. I think it's all about, taking your time in the moment. Don't go too quick and make sure all your bases are covered too. Don't do something if you think that there's any trouble on the horizon.
Yeah, and my last question is, do you like what is your advice to future broadcasters and media relations or anyone in the sports field?
Yeah. Um, I'm someone who my eventual goal is to become a play-by-play broadcaster in the National Hockey League. That's my goal. And you look at me and you say, but Dylan, you're doing media relations right now, which isn't broadcasting. And that's a totally understand take, but it's the first step, right? You have to get your foot in the door. And this happens with everything, whether you want to work in hockey, whether you want to work in baseball, any other sport, or any other field, really. You want to get your foot in the door. And I couldn't be more thankful for the job that I've been able to do with the Texas Stars. They've been allowed me to even get on air in some points. I've been able to do some intermission reports, which has been awesome. And then these features that run on the broadcast, so I can say my work has been on an AHL hockey broadcast, which is awesome. So I would say my advice would be reach out to a ton of people, try to shadow them, meet them, right? See what they do and see if their job is something that you'd be interested in, right? Everyone wants to become a broadcaster, but you can't sign on with the New York Rangers right out of college. That's just not going to happen, right? So you got to earn your way. And it goes back to professionalism where it's like, people have a lot of respect for people who have kind of been in the trenches, right? Like there have been some sleepless nights. There have been some long days where it's just like, maybe you're not feeling your best or things aren't going their way, or maybe the team has a game that they're not playing as well as usual. It's all about just sticking with the plan. And I think that's important. Don't get too impatient. Stick with your plan, and usually everything handles itself out if you're treating people the right way and you're handling yourself in the right way.
Thank you so much, Dylan, for this interview, and I really appreciate you coming.
Of course, James, thank you so much, and you keep up the great work as well.